The inspiration behind the line is kind of a silly story. I had this fortune that I was holding on to that had come to mean something to me, and I had it on my refrigerator, and every time I'd walk in it would be on the floor, and I just got so sick of it because it really actually was important in that time of my life. And I thought, I really need a little frame to put in this fortune in. And then at that moment I thought, why doesn't that exist? And so I went to the computer and looked it up, and there was literally nothing out there. So I immediately started looking into manufacturing and stuff, and I realized that this is way too much for me to take on. This is not what I do. I sat on it for about 6 months. The idea kept on kind of bugging me and haunting me, and I kept ignoring it because I just didn't have the time to take it on. And I told my sister about it one day, and I said, oh, I have this stupid idea for this little frame that holds a fortune. And she said, if you don't do that, I'm gonna do it. And so then on, I committed to it, and I went in full force. I would drive to work at 5 in the morning to look up how to make frames. I had no idea. So I went this whole production route at first. I don't have a jewelry background. I do now. I mean, it's been about 5 years now. So I went the route of mass producing, thinking I was going to do these little frames that are magnets on your refrigerator. This is not a glamorous story. And I started working with a product guy, and I realized that that was way too limiting, and you had to order in mass, and I really wanted something that I could control. So I finally, after a long process, went through and learned how to make jewelry. What started as frames that hold fortunes are kind of now just like an iconic piece. I have these frames that hold fortunes, and they're beautiful, and they sit on your desktop. But really the most popular pieces have come to be the lockets. And once I started making lockets, I started making all other kinds of jewelry because now I knew the process and I knew how to make it. So that's kind of where it all began. When I first started, I had no idea what I was doing, and so at first I thought I was going to have other people design these pieces. I had no idea that I could do it myself, and I guess that goes back to your fortune is within and that you have everything you need. So I worked with a lot of people that told me certain things weren't possible, which I guess is kind of a cliche at this point, but and it's weird that people actually say that. You don't realize that people actually will say that something is impossible, that they have no idea it's possible or not, but it's just because it's not possible to them. I mean, stupid things like getting the engraving on the lockets. They told me that was impossible. And then I saw other jewelry that had some very small engravings on it, so I figured out how to do that. They told me that I couldn't find rectangular glass. I mean, who makes such a bold statement that I can't find rectangular glass? Like, how do you know? Have you tried? So I found the rectangular glass, beautifully beveled. It's perfect. You think of all of these instances of people that want to do something, but they think that they can't do it because they're too old, or they didn't study it, or whatever. People say you can't, it's just not something you do. So I think that people, I wouldn't say they're amazed by that, but they're surprised by it. You know, sometimes people who are looking to change their careers are inspired by it. I know somebody who's, you know, one of my colleagues in PR who wants to get into comedy, and he's turning 40 this year. And, you know, he thinks it's a little late. He makes jokes that he'll be 80 by the time he actually gets on stage and tells his raunchy sex jokes. But I tell him, like, why not? I mean, if you don't do it now, you're never going to do it, and then you're really going to regret it. So I think that's the thing that most people are amazed or surprised by, is that I was self-taught and that I started, you know, well after I was into another career. There's a woman named Kathy who I ran into. She's one of our jewelers, and she was the original jeweler that I worked with. I found her when I first started, and I was first realized that I was going to take the jewelry route to producing these. And, you know, after working with her a little while, she said, "You're really lucky you found me. You really could have been ripped off because you don't know anything." And I think that along the way, I met so many of those people who, if I had met the wrong person, in those circumstances, I could have been ripped off, I could have been taken advantage of. I probably was a million times and I didn't even realize it. But those people have made such a difference in the journey and teaching me. And I mean, I say I'm self-taught, but I think about all of the people that came in to teach me along the way, and I think that's the most heartwarming part. My personal favorite part of the product, well, at least the fortune lockets, is the engraving on the side. It says, "Your fortune is within." This was something that my sister and I, after she decided that she wanted to help out with the idea when I first launched it, we were struggling to come up with a tagline. And one day we were driving in the car and I came up with, what about "your fortune is within"? We can put it on the fortune envelope, so it would be a double entendre. It would mean that your fortune is within the envelope, but it's also within yourself. And that was a big part of the lesson I was learning at the time in my own life, was confidence and how to remember that I had everything that I needed. And so that's now engraved on all of the fortune lockets and the fortune frames. It's the tagline of the line and it's on the fortune envelopes.